in your prayers. Be true and honest and seek light and happiness, spiritual happiness, because the material life of this world is limited in time. The life of the soul is eternal. Do not forsake one for the other. Kanavadan, Salvat Pura. Here Imam is trying to compare two facets of life. And the facet that sustains everything that turns around us, it's insans, human beings, faith. Faith in what? Faith in self, faith in the divine power, faith in the supreme power, faith in the one who's above all, and to say to himself or herself throughout the life that come what may, I know that nothing be there to weaken me, nothing be there, not a challenge in life would be too strong for me or too difficult for me, because I am being guided, protected by Mawla, and I'm under his shelter. Why I'm saying this? But we hear about it all the time. But if we hear that, do we apply in our everyday life? Do we apply in everything that we do and that happens around us to be able to say to ourselves that, no, I am there, but yet the foundation that I'm standing on, it is so solid, it is so strong, and it is the faith of the person by saying that I'm there and this faith is going to take care of everything that I have. I'll give you one example to start with. While I was in Paris, many times people used to come and they had appointments with Mola Bapa. So one day, 3 people came and they had to go and see Mola Bapa. Why I'm saying this, why I'm sharing this, because I look at the members of the Jamaat and saying that these are the members of my family, because spiritually we are all brothers and sisters. And to say something that happened that I saw or had witnessed is not to feel about being great or being there at that time when it happened, to say to myself that I was the one chosen to witness that, but I say to myself, I happen to be there through the prayers of people, and I become a messenger to pass on this particular incident to every human being, because we all have lived this kind of moments in life, but then it refreshes our memory and it reminds us that the greatness of life that we have within ourselves, which comparatively, if you see around us with eyes open is physical, eyes closed is spiritual. Look at the world, you're there. Discard the world, you're there. If you say to somebody, where were you before 30 years, 40 years ago? Oh, I was in Bangladesh, or I was in Karachi, or I was in Uganda, or I was in Tanzania, I was in Zaire. And you say to him, ask the person, okay, so remember the name of the school you went to? Remember the name of the street where you used to live? Remember the names of the shops that you used to go to? So the person will say, oh, just a minute. He closed his eyes. Now what he did, he went inside, because externally the limitations are there. He can't even think, might just fumble here and there. He closes his eyes, he goes back to the memory lane, and he is that within that world, which has got no barriers now. So he travels back into the memory and says, oh yes, I remember, this was the corner I used to take, and this was the name of the school, and this is the name of the street, and this is where I used to go. What I'm trying to say, the potential is within you, but the moment you learn to switch off the world, so many times during the day when you have free moments, just close your eyes and say to yourself, who am I? Me? I'm a soul. Where do I come from? I come from Alam Arwa. What is Alam Arwa? Alam means the world. Arwa means the spirit. So I come from the world of the spirit. And where do I go? To my next destination. And how far do I have to travel? Till the drop will go back into the ocean. This is the destination of the journey. So what about this world? The world is a point of transit. I'm transiting here. I do not live here. I do not belong here, and nothing here belongs to me. The internal detachment within ourselves, we are there, yet everything that happens will not succeed in impacting our soul. And this is the first step towards self-realization. A lot of people give theories કે તમે દુનિયાને ભૂલી જાઓ ને આમ તમે વિચાર ન કરો ને આના વિચાર ન કરો ને એક મન થાઓ ને કોન્સન્ટ્રેટ કરો ને મૌલાને યાદ કરો. તમે તમારી દિલ से નિકાલે દુનિયાને તમે તજી દેશો તો what will remain is just yourself. The spiritual world, that the world that you belong to, is such a fantastic, absolutely magnificent world. And that when you come back, what has happened? Even in front of problems, any problems you have, instead of being a participant, now get this right, a beautifully explained theory is that instead of being a participant against the problem, you take a few steps behind and become an observer. Like it's happening to somebody else. Like for us, anything. I mean, I don't usually talk about this, but okay, my wife happens to have cancer. So, come from the specialist. I usually don't talk. Now, here I stand and I said, oh my God, the sky is falling. Then I said to myself, go back and detach. Now you are another person. And then this particular scenario is brought in front of you. So what would you tell this person who comes and says that this is what my wife is suffering from? So you say to yourself, well, this is body, no? Body is perishable. But what about the spirit? Is it going to affect the spirit? No. So where is this person going to draw the strength to fight against, to combat against from within? Not from external sources. There'll be medication and radiation and chemo and you name it. It will be there. But what is going to take care of that person is the force within. And that person can draw that strength by saying, okay, things should be okay. This is what they call spiritual healing. You go to people and they do the spiritual healing and they do Reiki and they sit with you and they teach you about this therapy and that therapy. What they're trying to say, just deal with it. And you might pay, I don't know, £1,000 for it or whatever treatment is there. But the idea is that within yourself, you have powers. So either you minimize or you let it take such out of proportion forms that it will be difficult for you to handle. What I'm trying to say, and this is the way the life goes. So many things happen, and then when you end of the day, you sit and you say to yourself, how much of life actually I understood, and how much of my life I really wasted, worrying about things. And I said yesterday in Jamaat Khana, in one of my Waezes, I couldn't complete when I went home, and I said I started a thought, I didn't complete it because so much was coming all the time, that there is not a problem an Ismaili cannot solve. He can solve. Because Imam is there, he's given his life and he's taking care of. And there's our farmans and the hidayat and the directives and the works of great authors and the works of a lot of people. We can, Sijistani you talk about Socrates, you talk about various authorities that we have. But what is it that crushes us? It is not the problem. It is the importance you give to your problems. And that importance is the one that crushes us. कि कोई दुनियाना problems, I'll go into two languages. दुनियाना कोई problem છે એવા કોઈ problem નથી કે ઇન્સાન છે ને એને સોલ્વ નથી કરી શકતો. કરી શકે છે, પણ જે ચીજ ઇન્સાનને થકાવી દે છે અને એને પાડી નાખે છે, એને દુઃખી કરે છે, એ આપણે જે આપણા પ્રોબ્લેમને મહત્વતા આપીએ છીએ, એને ઇમ્પોર્ટન્સ આપીએ છીએ કે બહુ હવે તો આપ તૂટી ગયો, હવે I don't know where to go and I'm finished and this thing is going to take its own toll and it's going to be a total devastation. So the importance you give to your problems, and that is what crushes us. What is the subject I'm discussing? Subject is, જેણે પોતાને ઓળખ્યો એણે ખુદાને ઓળખ્યો. Just go within. Ask yourself, is there a power within me? Because otherwise, I won't be standing here or talking. So, what is the strength of that power? And that you go into the recognition of that power within yourself, and one will definitely realize that there is so much power, there is so much strength, but you have to be connected. I'll give you this example of the people who came to Paris. In between, I think I've just thought of another example, so I'm going to give you that too. I'd gone to Bombay, and there the traffic, and you just don't discuss it. I mean, the way on the roads, the kind of traffic you encounter, sometimes there are cows in the middle of the road, and sometimes bicycles in the middle of the road, and sometimes rickshaws in the middle of the road, and God knows everything goes at the same time. You don't know whether it's a jungle or whether it's a town or it's a village. Anyway, so I was coming out of Bombay and then going to Pune. So the Mukhisa said, so what time is your Waez? So I think 7, we should be in Khane, or so we should be there by 6 o'clock. He said, the traffic on this road is so terrible. અહીંયા તો તમે કોક ફેરે તો 4 કલાક લાગે, કોક ફેરે 6 કલાક લાગે, so don't take any risk. Go little early. It doesn't matter if you arrive little earlier, doesn't matter. But તમે એક વખતે નીકળી જાઓ. So we were with Tariq about people, and their wives were there, and they always take great care of you. Sometimes they spoil you to death, and you say to yourself, I wish it can continue all lifetime, but it cannot, But they are looking after you and taking care, and every 5 minutes ask for tea, and every 10 minutes ask for something. I say, wow, this is pure heaven. Anyway, so there were people, and we were in a couple of vans, we were traveling, and suddenly there wasn't too much problem, and we were arriving about 2 hours before. So stopped the car, and they came to ask me, Alwaaz, there is a person here, very affluent family, and they have a sort of a country home here. And now we are about 10 minutes from our destination. So would you like to break? And we stay here for a few minutes, and maybe you have a cup of tea and you relax and you prepare your notes, and now we are there already and it's quite early. So I said, yeah, do whatever you need to do. So they called the watchman, saying that, and watchman was used to it because a lot of people used to go and spend little time there. And the man was so generous, and his bungalow, beautiful home, was open to every member of the community whenever they needed it. So they arranged it. So once we got there, they said, you just take your books and go up, and it's a nice swing and relax. And then we will prepare some tea, and there's some snacks, and we'll have nasto, and we have a break, and then we continue. Fine. So I arrived there. So I got up, and there was a nice swing there. I was sitting outside reading my notes. I said, I will make some tea and something to eat. So I'm sitting there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I see people go up and go down and run here and to and fro, and some kind of commotion going on. But I was just looking, not understanding what's happening. And there was no fan. And nothing was really actually happening, but I didn't mind. And after an hour or something, somebody came up and said, Missionary Sahib, everything is there. We got the saman, things for the tea, and we got the snacks, and we got everything. But the problem is, power nathi. So fuse had blown up, or there was circuit, there was short circuit, God knows what. There was no power. So there's no power, there's no tea, there's no snacks, there's no fan, there's no light, there's nothing. Yet everything is there and no power. I ask myself, I have a life, I have aspiration, I want to achieve things. Am I connected to the power? Ask yourself, am I connected to the spiritual power? Otherwise everything is there, but is it going to function? And this is the example I just say to myself, I told them not to worry about it, but these are the things they stay, these are the stepping stones. કે દુનિયામાં આ બધું હતું પણ પાવર નહોતો તો કાંઈ ન મળ્યું, like set and came down. So કુટુંબ પરિવાર જીવડે ઘણા કર્યા, જીવડો ઉઠીને ચાલ્યો નિરાશ. What you mean કુટુંબ પરિવાર ઘણા કર્યા, જીવડો ઉઠીને ચાલ્યો નિરાશ? Because that person did not understand actually his own powers within himself, because internalization of the faith wasn't there. So I'm going to the next example. So some people had appointment with Mullah Bapa, so they called to reconfirm. Now instead of Paris, there's a place called Stade. Stade is just above Geneva. And there Mullah Bapa has got his own place, it's called Chalet. His own bungalow is like a home in the mountain. So it was arranged that Mullah Bapa will receive them there. And I had been there somehow before. So Tariqa, and everybody speaks French here. Even in Switzerland, it's the same thing. So he said, can you accompany these people? And I said, yeah, there's no problem. So I took them. We went there and we told the secretary that these people have got appointments with Mullah Bapa. So we arrived there and there was a sort of empty room, like a loggia. That's where I sat. And they were right inside where Mullah Bapa was. And I said to them, I will wait here. Don't worry about me. And whenever you finish, we'll go back, take the train to Geneva, and from Geneva we'll go back to Paris. So it was a whole day kind of a trip that we decided to take. So I was sitting in loggia and saying tasbih, and suddenly Mullah Bapa was inside and he was going to meet with them inside, and suddenly I saw somebody standing in front of me. And I opened my eyes, and Mullah Bapa is standing, Salvat Parola Waez. He's standing there. So I looked at it. I was a bit startled, and I didn't know whether I was breathing in or breathing out. I just looked at him. So he smiled and he said, oh, so you brought them here? I said, no, Khudawand, your grace brought them here. He said, Kana wada. Ki tame lai wa loko ne? Meduna, tari merbani loko ne lavi chaya. Amenati. No. So he smiled and he went in. And then these people, they took their own time. I don't know how they stayed inside, but for me, it was a happy moment that I had the didar of Mullah Bapa. What I'm trying to say is that every time you try to do something, he rewards you plenty. Because serve man is to serve God. You just do something for somebody, and there's so much happiness in it. Anyway, there's another thing I'll read here at the same time, because we go on to develop this subject, and I like this thing. When people listen to a particular subject, I would like to give you a gist. And when you go home, you go with the message loud and clear. Then whether you want to follow, you don't follow, but once it's there, if the moments arise in your life or in life of some people around you, you can always utilize this kind of philosophy. So this is why I'm going to give you a little more of material. This is here, the title of this message is, And God Said No. So I asked God to take away my pride, and God said no. He said it was not for him to take away, but for me to give up. I asked God to make my handicapped child whole, and God said no. He said her spirit is whole, her body is temporary. I asked God to grant me patience, and God said no. He said patience is byproduct of tribulations. It isn't granted, it is earned. I asked God to give me happiness, and God said no. He said he gives me blessings. Happiness is up to me. I asked God to spare me pain, and God said no. He said suffering draws you apart from worldly cares and brings you close to me. I asked God to make my spirit grow, and God said no. He said I must grow on my own, but he will prune me so I will be fruitful. I asked God if he loved me. He said yes, now and forever. I asked God to help me love others as much as he loves me, and God said, finally you have the idea. See how beautiful it is? And what you give is what you receive. How much of my time, how much of my thought, half of my own feelings I share, I give out. And this is what comes back to me in such a pleasurable, such a pleasant, and such a happiness-filled moments that I experienced in my life, that it's sublime. It's got no comparison. So we have to be very generous in our thinking, very magnanimous in everything we do. Anyway, now we arrive in Stad, and I was sitting there, and these people are inside. Okay. After an hour or 2 hours, I don't know how long they took, and suddenly I could hear the footsteps. Awaaz આવ્યો પગલાના કે આવે છે બારે. So I got up. So these people came out, and I thought if once they come out, they must have finished with Mullah Bapa with their files and briefcase and everything. We'll go back to Paris. So I was just standing ready and waiting for them. And these 3 people came, and then Mullah Bapa was behind them. So I just stood there. So the lady, out of the blue, suddenly, she turned around to Mullah Bapa. She said, and she was from United States. And I look at United States, ek moti scheme hati. Something to do with Mullah Bapa's projects, one of those projects. So they'd come there to deal with Mullah Bapa and show him that, not deal with Mullah Bapa, show him exactly the planning of that particular project. Innocently they came out, they were so happy and so joyous, and really absolutely bubbling with joy when they came out of the meeting. And suddenly the woman, there were 2 men and a woman. Woman, I don't know any suit you. She turned around to Mullah Bapa and she said, so next time when you come to the United States, Mullah Bapa, come with more time so that you can do the Jamati ceremonies. So Mullah Bapa looked at her and he smiled. He said, Khudawan, last time when you came in 86 and you did Dharmikam, and I had just delivered a baby, and I couldn't come for the promotion. That's all she said. And there is nothing wrong what she said. So, કે ગુજરાતીમાં કહું કે મોલા બાપા તમે આવો પાછા તો યુનાઇટેડ સ્ટેટ્સ તો થોડો ટાઈમ લઈને આવજો, કારણ કે ગઈ ફેરે તમે આવ્યા તો બધું ધાર્મિક કામ કર્યા હતા, પણ મને ત્યારે જ મને બેબી મને બચ્ચું આવ્યું હતું, સો હું પ્રમોશન વાસ્તે ના આવી શકી. That's all she said. So Mullah Bapa looked at it. He said, so you want Ismail Azam? Well, she didn't ask for it. She just said, come and then I'll go for it. So એની સાથે 2 જણા હતા ને એને Mullah Bapa બેસાડી દીધા. And Mullah Bapa says to that lady, come inside. And Mullah Bapa says to me, Alwaaz, you come inside. So we both went. So we sat down. The એક પગ પાસે એ બેસી ગઈ, એક પગ પાસે હું બેસી ગયો. And then Mullah Bapa gave her what Rahmat he gave her the password. And then gave her the password. And then he asked her to repeat. And then he was looking at me like need be, trying to explain, because usually when he does that, missionaries are on duty. So a couple of times I had done it, so Shukr Mullah. But it was a difficult kind of a password he gave her. So I say to myself, now it's going to be quite a job for me to go and flip through so many pages to try to give the meaning. But he's so gracious. And એને બોલ દીધો ને એને એનો meaning દઈ દીધો. So I say, આપણું કામ પતી ગયું. જાન છૂટી. સસ્તાથી પૈતું. So he gave her the meaning. He said, what's the meaning of this word? And Mullah Abban said, thank you so much. So he gave her the meaning. So that was over. But he wouldn't get up. Now that was a very, very tricky moment for me. Sometimes in the presence, you don't know what to do, what to say, and when to get up. कोई बेद आदमी न થઈ જાય, કોઈ અપમાન ન થઈ જાય. I mean, there could be something can be impertinent, insulting, not befitting the great occasion. So I was just sitting there and waiting that if he gets up, then we get up. So the woman was looking at me and I was looking at her, but we were not looking up. Mullah Baba wasn't getting up. She was just sitting there. And suddenly I looked up. And Mullah Baba looked so serious. So much pain on his face. So sad. So much hurting in his face that I saw. So, मेरे सर पे तो आसमान टूट पड़ा कि did we do something wrong? But my mind said, but she didn't ask for it. And you're the one who dragged her inside. And now how are we going to go back all the way to Paris? I mean, one of us is going to have a heart attack. Because how can we see you so upset? And he was looking all red, and he didn't look upset. He looked like something hurt him. So I started crying. She started crying, and I didn't know what to do. So suddenly, he's ma baap. Then he got up, and we got up, And we folded hands. Khudawan, if there is anything wrong we did. So he looked at it, he said, no, that's not why I'm very sad. You know why I'm sad? Because when my spiritual children come to me, and અમારી પાસેથી આ ઇસ્માઝમ લઈ જાય છે, you know what is this? એ લોકોને દુનિયાની અંદર હરેક દુઃખનો આમાંથી એને સોલ્યુશન મળી શકે છે. They can resolve all the issues in life with this spiritual power they can draw. અને આવીને મારી પાસે લઈ જાય. But you know, I give it to them. મા બાપે ફરમાયું કે millions of the fraction of a second's happiness in ibadat, when you put all the riches of the world, it's got no equal. કે આખી દુનિયાની ખુદાઈની અંદર જેટલો સુખ છે, જેટલો આરામ છે, જેટલા સુખના સાધન છે, એને ત્રાજવામાં એક પલામાં રાખો ને એક ક્ષણનું જે સુખ તમને ઇબાદતમાં મળે છે, ઇબાદતનું જે સુખ છે ને એ વધી જાય છે. It's just like a drop of essence. It can perfume, it can create that absolutely wonderful fragrance in your life, purify everything. And Mullah said, this is what I gave, but you know, they just don't practice. He just stood there saying that I'm doing it, I'm giving it to them, and they just don't practice. And I like he's saying that, what else can I do? And I like when I saw that face, I've never forgotten. So every time the Baitul Khayal is discussed, or that people talk about Baitul Khayal, how important it is, and modern day constraints, Navi Sakene. I don't know whose constraints and what are the constraints. And I said to myself, but this is where lies the happiness that you are looking for. This is where lies all the answers, all the solutions to your problems. This is what it is, the real life about. This is where you belong. This is the world you come from. This is the world you go back to. This is the strength that you have. This is the force you have. This is the place you acquire, the skills you can. And if I don't come of my own choice, કે હાથ ઘસે ને ધુસાસા મેલે ને જીબુલેડીએ તાળા દીધા, ઘણેરો જે રોવાને લાગો, શાહજીનું નામ ન લીધું. So we just ask ourselves, is it possible by making an extra effort for myself, for me to understand, કે હું જિંદગીને સમજી શકું, એના વાસ્તે આ એક મોલા બાપાએ, and few things I have seen, I cannot explain why I'm talking to you like a family. I'm not here a teacher, or I'm not telling you anything. I'm sharing it with total humility. But these are the things that since I've seen them, I share with you. In 76, I happened to be in Karachi. Now when we went to Karachi, I wasn't on official duty, so I told these guys, continue whatever you need to do. We sat right at the back. The people I saw, and I knew a lot of people in Karachi. If you see Kharat and Jamaat Khana, I don't know, there were 60,000, 80,000 people. They were all having mehmanis and the didar, and we just happened to pass through Karachi. So these people at the airport, they saw our onward flight was cancelled. I used to work for an airline. They brought me to the Pendol where there was didar taking place. So I said to this guy, look, thank you very much, but you go continue whatever you want to do. When we are finished, we'll take a cab and go back to the airport. So we'll have the didar. This was in February 1976. So right at the end, and I've never had a didar with about 60,000, I don't know, 80,000 people there, but far, far, far away, we could see the stage. I said, doesn't matter, the presence is there, he's about to come. And the chanting started, and the salawat started, and suddenly I could hear the people saying salawat. And he came, so from far you could see Mullah Bapa came and sat there. So then some people sitting near us, અમારી બાજુમાં કોઈ માણસ બેઠા હતા, એ લોકોને આ બાર ગામના લાગે છે, because we're going for an airline conference, we were dressed the way we were dressed, with the tie and whatnot. So just taken jacket off, but with shirt and trousers and whatnot. So these people, and જોયું કે આ લોકો બાર ગામના માણસો છે, so they had binoculars. તો મને એક બે જણા કે સાહેબ કિધર બારગામ से आए हो? I said, yeah, we're from outside. He said, take, you can even see Mullah Bapa. So he lent us, we didn't ask for it, he gave it to us, the binoculars. So Durbin Tijoy to Mullah Bapa, he was radiant, he was absolutely splendid, he was smiling, joyous, and full of life, and it was just something to treasure. So we just saw him say Salvat, and then close the eyes and try to see here the same thing that we saw with there. You can bring it from here It will just be an incident, that something a Pradhan we went to. From there, you bring it inside. From inside, you bring it in totally, internal world that you have. And on that throne, you make him sit there. 94, London, Mulaqat, Darbar, 5th of August, 14th of August. He was absolutely wonderful. So I see him every day. Not here. I see him here. It's up to me to say to myself that Didar is there for me to enjoy it at every second of my life. When I close my eyes, so I can have that Didar. Anyway. So we saw him, and I gave the binoculars back, and we were just saying Salawat. Now that day they decided to do memanis. And memanis from people from small villages and whatnot. People must have come by bus, put in hours and hours of traveling, so you could see that they were dressed. And these were people from various villages and from the surrounding areas, small villages anyway. There's no other word to say. Why I'm saying? Because they were rushing to our stage. They were very anxious to go to the Memani. So that's why I'm saying that just a little bit of rushing here and there. Suddenly, there was a panic station. Something. And everybody is shouting, and volunteers are shouting, and the lieutenants and captains, "Tum log bet jao, besi jao, tame badai, besi jao, tame besi jao." So on the contrary, when they started saying besi jao, they even started running towards the stage, because they didn't know that is Mola Papa is going away now. That's why I'm saying that kind of pandemonium, that kind of things were happening, right? So I said to myself, what's happening? So suddenly Mukhi Sahib came on the mic. कि तुम लोग सब बैठ जाओ, मौला पापा सबकी मेहमानी लेंगे और इधर से कहीं नहीं जाने वाले, लेकिन मौला पापा को फरमान आए. I just want to address the Jamaat. And I said, all of a sudden, just he had already made the Holy Farman and he was taking memanis. Again he came on the stage. And this is in the book, Green Book of Farman, that you have 76 Karachi, read it. And those who were in Karachi in 76, they will know. Hazrat came on the stage. Many mothers, now that face again, the same face I had seen in Geneva, when he said, what can I do? Again I saw. So many times I say to myself, why do I witness these things? So am I supposed to pass it, take it to people, that we all share by saying, what can we do to get the maximum benefit out of the sacrifice he has made of his life, that at least I cannot get the salvation of my own soul through all the sacrifices he made. Nauzubillah, his sacrifices are not so strong, so worthy that my own Ruhani can have the salvation. I said to myself, but for the salvation he has come. And for the salvation he sacrificed his life because he wants us to be happy. I mean, nothing chahta ko maro koi bhi woman gunegar the duniya mati guzri jai. You always be happy and happy, I mean, internally happy, spiritually happy. Now I saw him said, many mothers came to me with money carrying the children who were the victims of polio. કે ઘણી માતાઓ બચ્ચાને તેડીને મારી સામે મારી પાસે આવી મહેમાનીમાં બચ્ચાને તેડી આવીને જે લોકો પોલિયોના વિક્ટિમ થયેલા બચ્ચાઓને. અને હાઉ મેની ટાઈમ્સ કે આઈ હેવ ટોલ્ડ યુ that prenatal clinics મેં સ્થાપના કરી છે. The expectant mother should go and consult this clinics and make the most of it, so that these children will not have to lead this kind of miserable life. What does it say? What does it say? That if they're taken care before the birth, these kids would not have been born the way they were born? Is that what he was saying? मैं नहीं चाहता कि आज जातनी दुख बच्चाओ भोगवे because तुम्हारी नादानी थी. And then he says that because of your own ignorance, तुम्हारी नादानी थी, तुम्हारी बेखबरी थी, this is what has happened to these kids. So I say to myself, that the day I die from this world, My soul is a Ruhani spiritual child, because when talikas come, my dear spiritual children. So spiritual children is Sadru Pradhan. Okay, that's the form. But when he says spiritual children, કે આ આપણી અંદર જે રૂહ છે એ અમારી અમાનત, મોલાની અમાનત છે કે આ ઝમાની મોલા આપણે દુઆ માંગીએ છીએ યા યુલઝીન આમનુ લા તકુનુ લા વરસુલુ વ તકુનુ અમાનાતિકુમ અંતુમ તાલમુન, એની અમાનત છે મારી અંદર. તો જ્યારે મારું જીવ નીકળશે ત્યારે એને નૂરનું પાણી મેં પાયું હશે, એને ઇબાદતનો ખોરાક મેં ખવડાવ્યો હશે, મેં માણસની સેવા કરી અને એને ફોર્ટિફાઈ કર્યો હશે, મેં મારા સારા કામ કરી અને મેં એ રૂહને બરાબર સશક્ત બનાવ્યો હશે. અધરવાઇઝ ખુદા ન કરે ને મારો રૂહ ખુદા ન કરે એવી હાલતમાં નીકળે તો ઓલા ઝાહેરી બચ્ચાને જોઈ કે તમે મોજત ન કરી, યુ ડિડન્ટ ટેક કેર ઓફ ધોઝ ચિલ્ડ્રન, નાઉ દે have to have the face this kind of a plight. So similarly, if my soul comes out and khuda na kare ne bangi ibadat na kari or khuda na kare, I don't follow what Mola Bapa's directions are, and at the end of the life, Mola Bapa says, 27th of November 1973, Mola Bapa says, if you have maintained balance between your Zahiri and Ruhani, at the end of your life, at death, you will have happiness. And I'm not talking about the worldly happiness, I'm talking of spiritual happiness. So જ્યારે આમ દુનિયામાંથી જાઉં છું ત્યારે, and if you failed in one or the others, there is no doubt whatsoever that you'll be faced with problems. So my રૂહ કબજ થાય છે, સગાવાલા બધા અહીંયા બેઠા છે અને નીકળે છે બારે, and Imam says, so do we believe in reincarnation? I don't know. Do we believe life after? I don't know. But I know what will happen, what Imam said, and that is in 73, not before that it would be difficult for us to say in what context he said. He said in 73, if you haven't maintained the balance between Zahiri and Ruhani, Mama said, you will be faced with problems, and there's no doubt about it. So sit and think, am I going to live here forever? No. Have I come for a specific purpose? Yes. What is the specific purpose? The salvation of my soul. How am I going to attain the salvation of my soul? Through ibadat. If I don't do ibadat, what am I ignoring? The most important factor of my life. And that, am I going to live here forever? No. So I'm going to go one day from this world. Yes. What will come with me? Kena chodu, kena wachlu, kena maire baap, antakade javu jivne eklo, sate punya ne paap. So what I'm saying that try to understand life in such a way that we reap the best out of great efforts that Mola Bapa is making. And today we can talk about AKD and we can talk about various other institutions, but that is not my subject. But why are these institutions there? Why Mola Bapa is spending so much time, so much money and so much manpower so that we can live peacefully, so that all these problems people normally face, Ismailis don't have to face, because he is providing relief, everything that is, all the activities that he is embarked upon. So what I'm trying to say, what is my subject today? Be kind to yourself. પોતા ઉપર દયા કરો. Be kind to yourself. अपने जीवनी की चिंता, अवल चिंता मुझे किसी की नहीं, चिंता है मेरे जीव की. जीव के कारण मैं सब कुछ छोड़ा, मैं आगे शरण तुम्हारिया. And then we talk about these people from Tajikistan, and as we discussed in some of the voices yesterday, these people, the perception they have and what perspective they have about Imam. I went to Karachi. I'm going to some dakhlas today because these are the things that happen in my life. What I'm sharing again, one more example. I went to Karachi and I went to visit a lady now. She passed away a couple of years back. Her name was Fatma Bai Nanawati Muhammad. She was an Alwaaz. I went to visit her. And I spent some time with her. And suddenly she started talking. She said, there are things happen in life, when your right time comes or when you're searching for it, like we say Shariat, Tariqat, Haqiqat, Marifat. Shariat is to desire something. Tariqat is to weigh, to acquire it. Haqiqat is the time you have achieved it. Marifat means you enjoy the experience of it. You desire salvation. You desire spiritual happiness. You desire to understand what the life is all about. Yes. Look for the way. How? By forgetting self, self-effacement, and to go within yourself and find that part that is your strength. That was the way to go there. Hakikat, suddenly, always when I come to Ibadat, when I'm sitting there, always I feel as if I'm floating, so strong. Always, I said, what is astral projection? Yeah. So sometimes, I have some certain feelings and that happens, nothing to talk about, but sometimes I get these feelings. I ask, what is premonition? I ask you, what is psychic impulses? I ask you all the sciences that people talk about. These are all on the lower level, the sciences, the premonition and psychic impulses and clairvoyance and all that. There's something beyond that. Once you go beyond and beyond that, that is the world where you go, where it will demystify everything, that you will feel deep spiritual happiness. But desire, look for the means, achieve it, enjoy it. By looking at it, you won't do it. By going after it and achieving it. And there's no reason why, because you're not alone, he's by our side. And that was when he was in Vancouver 1992, and there was the last day he was there. And I was given a vara to say Zikr Tasbih after his departure. So I was just sitting next to the stage. I'll finish this Karachi Lakna also, but I'm giving another example. These are the things I've seen with my own eyes, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. So, 1992, Mullah Baba was there, and there's a last Mimani, the whole Jamaat is there, people were crying because yesterday he was going away, 23rd August he came, 26th he left. And suddenly, Mullah Baba wrote and he said, always remember that Imam is, as he said in 1994 in London, he did the same thing, he was standing there, and we were all listening to him, and he was saying, Al-Wida, he was giving blessings, and Jamaat was crying, and suddenly I heard. So I said, who is making that noise? And he said, always remember, I'm by your side. 8 times in that one format that I have, 8 times Mullah Baba said, I'm by your side. Always remember, live your life, but always remember, I'm by your side. I'm by your side. I'm by your side. Like that. The whole Tamam, like astounding. We looked at Mullah Baba. But I'm trying to say that you are not alone. Don't get depressed. Don't lose hope. Don't say it's difficult. Say to yourself, it is achievable because I am being guided by the most supreme power, Mullah Baba. Sallallahu So, I went to the Fatma by Nana, but she said, when you are ready for it, when it says that when your time will come, I'll prune and produce fruits. So I said, yeah, it's true, but when does the time come? She said, there's a major here of volunteer corps, and I don't know, 50, 55 years he's been serving the Jamaat, and the guy has done every minute of his life in service of Mullah, one way or another, Mukhi, Mandir Mukhi, Baitul Mukhi, Captain, Lieutenant, Volunteer, Show Company, Water Company, everything he did in his life. He had his business, he had his family. You can do both simultaneously because there will be time. It's not that you don't have time, you make time. Like I'll give you something to laugh about. Many times, when I go to states and different places, and people have to give me a ride back to the airport. So on the way, they said, Mr. Sahib, which is like, what to do. It's so difficult, already 2 kids we have in this country with all the constraints, we have. And I